Right, welcome to the screencast. How to be awesome and get involved with an older woman. This is from the story about the Alexander and the Gordian knot, and moving on to Carrier. Okay, so the Gordian knot is our particular story here. So now Alexander, here we've crossed over the Hellespont at Gallipoli. We've taken all the cities on the coast here, moving around Asia Minor. We're able to get around, and now Alexander heads to the town of Gordian, which is a bit out of his way. Normally just go through here. He has to cut into Gordian, which is it's a bit out of his way, but being Alexander, he cannot resist the opportunity of going to Gordian, and I'll tell you why. So this is the story of the Gordian knot. Legend has it that the legendary king of Gordian was a man named Gordius, who actually originally came from Macedonia. And the story is that the town of Gordian didn't have a king. There had been some inner turmoil, some civil conflict. And the prophecy was that the person who arrives on an ox cart will be the next king. And what do you know? This Gordius, this exile from Macedonia, suddenly turns up on his cart and arrives at Gordian and is proclaimed as king of the town. Now, by all accounts, he's a very good king, but what is of interest here is that the knot that was used to tie the yoke to the cart itself was an intricate knot, a very complex knot. It's one which is now known as a Turk's head knot, is where you can't actually see the ends to undo it. And this cart that Gordius arrived in, and with the knot that held the yoke onto the cart itself, it was held in the center of the town, and there's a prophecy attached to it that, as Plutarch says, he who unties the knot shall rule all of Asia. So now Alexander obviously cannot resist. If we go back to where he was, down here, and here's the famous prophecy at Gordian, that he who unties the knot shall rule all of Asia. Alexander is completely intending to rule all of Asia. He certainly needs to go and untie the knot, one would think. And so he does go to the town, and he sees the Gordian knot, and here's the knot here, where the yoke is attached to the pin, which is attached to the shaft of the carriage. And the story goes that Alexander looked at it for a little while. Some sources say he tried to undo it, and failed. But the end result is that Alexander drew his sword and sliced right through the knot, and said something like, "The knot is undone, surely the prophecy is fulfilled." Now, this is cool. I like Alexander doing this. What does it show us about him? Look, he's going to take a massive risk. It's a massive risk to go to the town anyway and to undo the knot. You can imagine Alexander's generals and advisors going, "Oh my God, what if he doesn't undo it? What if he doesn't undo it? Then the prophecy is not fulfilled, and then everyone's going to have massive doubts, and this whole campaign will end." Alexander, though, he will take that risk, and he will have a go. Either he tried to undo it and failed, or we're not sure, but the end result was that he just sliced it with his sword. He won. The knot's untied. Clearly the prophecy is fulfilled, and Alexander will rule all of Asia. Any doubts that must have been in people's minds were dispelled that night, because there was thunder and lightning. And Arrian said that night there was thunder and lightning, the gods welcoming the new king of Asia. There you go. Well done, Alexander. And, in all fairness, I would rather follow someone who's going to do that, slice through the knot, than someone who's going, "Oh God, I can't do the knot." Come on. I want to follow someone who's decisive and is going to take this. I don't care about someone doing the knots. He's fulfilled the prophecy. The gods have welcomed him. He is going to be the new ruler of Asia. And so now Alexander, after leaving Gordian, wintered there, headed back to the coast and to the township of Carrier. Okay, you might remember Carrier, or maybe not. Maybe you remember Pixodaris. Remember Pixodaris affair? You would have heard me talk about how Alexander ended up offering himself as husband to Pixodaris' daughter, because he was worried that Philip was cutting him out of the inheritance, with Philip offering Alexander's half-wit half-brother to Pixodaris as a daughter to marry, as a husband. Hopefully you remember that. Well, let's go back to Pixodaris. Well, he died, by understandable natural processes, and his wife's brother had actually seized the throne. Okay, and Pixodarus's wife, her name was Ada, she actually offered to help Alexander. Okay, so her brother had seized the throne, but Pixodarus's wife, she still wanted to be queen or the ruler of Asia, and ruler of Caria, and she offered to help Alexander. And so Alexander said, right, he'll depose the king, he'll depose the brother of Pixodarus's wife, Ada's brother, and he will actually put Ada back on the throne, which is precisely what he did. When he marched up with his armies, the king, Ada's brother, fled, and Ada was installed as queen of Caria. Now, this is quite curious because Alexander and Ada had a very close relationship. No hint of any sexual activity, but Ada actually adopted Alexander as her son, which is odd to say the least because he's got a mum, Olympias, quite a formidable mum. And he's now got an adoptive mother. Is this a break between Alexander and Olympias? Possibly. What's going on here? It's really hard to figure out, but it clearly shows Alexander does have a thing for older women who he sees as held in great dignity. You remember Timoclea, the battle of the siege of Thebes, when she threw her rapist down the well, and Alexander was very impressed with her. Well, he's impressed with Ada as well, and he becomes her adoptive son. Gosh knows what. I wonder what Olympias thought of that when she got that in a letter. But nonetheless, this is good policy because now Mummy has his back. Both mummies have his back. Olympias is there in Macedonia, spreading her tentacles, the witch bitch of Epirus, always supporting Alexander. But now he has Ada as well. He has a mum, like a campaign mum, a mum in Asia too. And she has his back. So any area behind Alexander, the armies of Caria can keep an eye on and make sure that no one revolts against Alexander and everyone stays on his side. So once again, he's got a mother who's got his back. We've got Olympias in Macedonia, and now we've got Ada in Caria as well. Okay, so there we go. There's some stories about Alexander. That's pretty much us. The next time we are going to look at the time to punish this Greek boy king. We will be visiting the Battle of Issus, where Darius finally decides he's going to fight Alexander, and he will form a massive army and take Alexander on near the town of Issus. But that's a story for another time. Alrighty, ka kite.